Okay, I'd like to call the City of North St. Paul City Council meeting in order. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everybody. Welcome to 2020 for our council meetings. Hope everybody had a nice New Year and holidays. At this time, Mary, if you could take roll.
Councilmember Thorson.
Here.
Councilmember Peterson.
Here.
Councilmember Walzak. Councilmember Sonic. Here. Mayor Furlong.
Here, the quorum is present. This time, a motion to adopt the agenda. So moved by Councilmember Walzak, seconded by Councilmember Peterson. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. So at this time, we have kind of an exciting night. We've never done this before, so I'll turn it over to City Manager Dudek.
Mayor, Council, thank you. Excited tonight to do our oath of office for our incoming Fire Chief, Jason Mallinger. And just give you a little background on Jason before I give it back to the mayor for performing the oath of office. So Jason Mallinger has started with the city on the paid-on-call fire department back in 1989 as a firefighter, moved through the fire department carrying multiple roles: firefighter, engineer, lieutenant, captain, safety officer, eventually promoted to assistant chief in 2001, along with through that whole time very active in our first responder program and responding to medicals throughout the city. Then in 2000, Jason became a full-time city employee with our Public Works Department. So we worked in Public Works from 2000 to 2005. 2006, then moved to the fire department in a full-time capacity there as the fire inspector, code enforcement officer. Then continued in that role for a number of years up until 2019, when I moved from the fire chief position or became interim city manager. Then Jason took on additional roles as the working my duties as I was performing both. And then ultimately, when I became interim manager and Jason became interim fire chief in April of 2019. And then officially, we administratively have moved Jason to the permanent role of fire chief in October of 2019. So this evening, Mayor and Council and viewing audience, we would like to have the mayor present the oath of office for our incoming fire chief.
As much as proud as I would like to do this for you, I would like to have City Manager Dudek come up to do the swearing in, because him being a past fire chief, I thought it'd be appropriate for a past fire chief to a fire chief to do it. I know you got other things to do, Scott, but I think swearing in, I'd like you to do it. I'll be here. We have Mayor Sandberg's Bible, and Jen, if you want to hold it. Put your left hand on the Bible and your right hand up, and I'll go ahead and have the past fire chief do the swearing in.
I, Jason Mallinger,
I, Jason Mallinger,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will serve all citizens with urgent response
that I will serve all citizens with urgent response
to their needs or crisis
to their needs or crisis
with compassion, sincerity, and concern,
with compassion, sincerity, and concern,
patience, kindness, and respect.
patience, kindness, and respect.
I promise that I will,
I promise that I will,
at all times, conduct myself
at all times, conduct myself
in a manner that reflects positivity on the fire department and the city of North St. Paul.
in a manner that reflects positivity on the fire department and the city of North St. Paul.
Finally, I, Jason Mallinger,
Finally, I, Jason Mallinger,
promise to follow the policies of the fire department
promise to follow the policies of the fire department,
uphold the laws of our state and nation,
uphold the laws of our state and nation,
and the ordinances of the city of North St. Paul,
and the ordinances of the city of North St. Paul,
and that I will faithfully and honorably
and I will faithfully and honorably
discharge my duties to the best of my ability.
discharge my duties to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Signed by Mayor Terrence Furlong. Congratulations.
And with that, I will formally transfer the duties of Fire Chief to Jason Mallinger. Duly and proudly pinned.
Well, you know me, I never pass up an opportunity to say a few words. Yeah. Might want to call in, Ron. Mayor, city council members, city manager Scott Dudek, I would like to thank you for your support, allowing me to be chief of this great fire department. I'm very excited about this opportunity with my experience and knowledge and passion for the fire service. My goal is to continue moving this fire department forward to be the best it can be. I would like to thank my family for being here tonight, my wife Jen, daughters Marjorie and Noel. And I and every member of the fire department have to respond to calls at all hours of the day and night. This is something, as you know, we sign up to do. However, my family are the ones that I leave behind at dinner table, family events, practices, games, recitals, and meets while I respond to calls whenever they come in. And I know I have caused many sleepless nights for Jen, leaving her wondering what was going on and if I was okay. And I just want to publicly thank them now for their support over the many years and their continued support in my position as chief. Also here tonight supporting me is my mom Mavis, my sister Lisa and her husband Tom, my mother-in-law Mary Felland, sister-in-law Emily DiGiacomo, and her husband Giacomo DiGiacomo, who's also on the fire department, and their family. And we all know my dad is watching down from heaven above with a big smile on his face. To the members of the fire department, I want to say thank you for your trust in me as a leader. It is more than I could ask for. I'm proud to stand here before you as chief, not just in the position itself, but because of the firefighters that we have and that you are here in the city of North St. Paul. You guys and gals are hardworking, driven, professional firefighters that continue to become better each day, and you guys want to serve your community and help make a difference. You are also responding 24/7, leaving your friends and families and loved ones behind, only to hope and pray that you are safe and not in harm's way. For all of us, the fire department has become a second family where we train together, respond to calls together, and are there for each other in good times and in bad. Last, I just want to say to the residents of North St. Paul, this past year, the fire department ended 2019 with responding to 1,355 emergency calls for help. This is the highest number in the history of our department. 80.2% of those were EMS, and 19.8% of those was a combination of fires, motor vehicle accidents, natural gas leaks, carbon monoxide incidents, down power lines, and other public service type calls. And now our city has this great opportunity of areas that are being redeveloped, adding additional townhomes, apartments, critical care facilities, and with that comes more people and more calls for service. I want to let The residents know that I will work hard to make sure the fire department will continue to provide the best service and response for you when you call 911, because I know when you are looking for us for help on what could be your worst day in your life, whether it's a fire, medical, or any other type of emergency. Code compliance and rental property concerns will also remain a priority to us, and we will continue to deal with those concerns along with licensing and maintaining all properties. With that, again, I just want to say thank you for everyone for being here tonight, coming, for your support, and I look forward to working together with everyone on keeping this great city of North St. Paul safe. I don't know if I should sit down or not.
We'll take a 5-minute recess and we'll get some pictures taken, if you don't mind. That'd be great. We'll take a 5-minute recess.
I set my jacket down there and I'm like, oh, one back. I don't know if you between you two. I don't know who to look at.
Down to business. Thank you. Sunday.
Oh, the ball game?
Yeah.
I listened to the first half.
And then we ran downstairs. It was that thing where. See what happens when I watch it.
Yeah.
Because I
Started the care, and sure enough.
I still think my actions affect the outcome.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, like, if I
Absolutely.
didn't, sit in the right spot.
Down to the end of the game, I said, "Oh, God, I can't watch this." And I got up and left. I
And so
walked
then it
out
got
into
to
the other
the
room.
end of it. We gotta give it to them. 'Cause it's over. And then the final.
Okay, I'd like to reconvene. It's kind of funny how everybody left on this side. Now everybody's over here on this side. Oh, we got Bob back. So at this time, we have the consent agenda, and that is the December 17th, 2019 workshop meeting minutes, the December 17th, 2019 regular meeting minutes, general accounts payable of $846,850.87, the HRA accounts payable of $299.51, and our pay equity report. If there's anybody who wants to pull anything from the consent agenda, they can
Mr. Mayor?
do so at this time.
I'd like to pull item E.
Okay, we'll pull item E. And
Couple
we'll,
questions about that.
yep.
Thank you.
And we'll move that down to city business and action items under C. So at this time, motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember Sonic,
I'll second.
second by Councilmember Thorson. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. This time, the meeting is open to the public. I do have 3 people here who would like to talk. First one is John Schmall in regards to snow plowing and billboard truck. John? Welcome.
Thank you. Mayor, Council, the reason for the getting up to say something about this is that after 44 years of experience of driving on the streets after the plow has gone by, something's gone wrong this year because there's been an awful lot of snow left on the street, and the streets were very bumpy. We've now had some thaws, and so it wasn't as bad, but it got to the point even that on last Thursday, Public Works ran a plow 3 days after the snow had actually occurred because there was so much snow left on the streets. And in comparison to just a block north, Maplewood, our street, Masabi, that I travel on, Gerald, that I travel on, and also getting out on Chisholm, the streets in Maplewood look bare compared to ours. I just don't know what's happened. The amount of snow left after the plow is gone has been an appreciable increase that above anything I've ever seen. So, and I was thinking of this, and you have another individual that has the same subject, who yesterday, as I was checking the oil on my vehicle, said, "You lost your touch?" And I went, "What do you mean by that?" "The snow on the road." So I said, "Well, Bill, come on down and express your thoughts on the subject." So there's something has changed. It's just there's an awful lot of snow left on the streets. Now, whether it's because we're at the end of the line, because we're northeast, the furthest from Public Works, I don't know what the schedule is, but the results of the plowing have been less than acceptable. So I don't know what can be done about that, but just wanted to bring it up. Any,
I'll comment on
City
it.
manager.
I'll comment on it. I'm not sure. I realize that too. I seen the same thing, and it's something that we're talking about, whether it was a timing issue with plowing where the snows were heavier and wet, and started out, as over a period of time, and it was packed down, with a smaller amount before the plows went out. So we're talking about that on the frequency of going out sooner, so that and plowing at lesser inch accumulation, so that we're not having to use so much salt. That's a big thing, trying to cut down on salt usage versus plowing and spreading a lot of salt so we don't have that ice buildup. But no, the plowing is something we're very proud of here, and we're going to make sure that we stay on top of that.
well, I would appreciate looking into it because I believe that noticed a lesser use of salt even, during this period. And maybe that is attributed to this. And the last item is that eyesore billboard. I brought it up before. Maybe there's nothing you can do about it, but they plug it into the damn light socket on the pole.
No, and I will follow up with that too. We did talk about that before and have talked to them about it. It won't be something that would go on permanently, but we've allowed it as a start, as kind of their opening and getting people to knowledge that it's there, but it won't be a permanent ongoing use.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, John. Since we heard about the snow plowing, I think we'll go right on the next snow plowing. Bill Petch. Welcome, Bill.
First time here, so, it's always one of those things, no one complains when things are going good.
Sure.
There's a couple of people here that were actually almost babies when I moved into North St. Paul. I won't say, Scott, who we were, but that the plowing's always been good, and that, I'm the guy, I live across the street from John, and I said, I had my theory. I said, I got a theory that North St. Paul is now contracted with St. Paul plowing, because they come from St. Paul, and it's against the law, the rule, or whatever, to go below 6 inches in St. Paul. So it's, yeah. But it is bad. I'm a runner. Scott knows that, and it's kind of frustrating when I got my routes to go around Silver Lake. I go down Beam Avenue, and I look to my right, 2nd Avenue, just going down, and there's still, just like our street, there's snow. You look to my left in Maplewood, and I can see asphalt. And I know what he's talking about. And then he told me that the one plow came back again on Thursday. I goes, well, where? There was literally the snow, and then it got worse, and then it's frozen, and then you can't do a thing with it. But yeah, I'm just concerned. That's one thing we are really proud of that we could boast about with North St. Paul is, the workforce here is so good, strong, but it just seems, I don't know if it was a cost issue or if there's what it was, and the plowing was pretty bad, I felt that way.
And again, I'll say definitely not a cost issue, and we're going to look at going out more frequently or earlier. Normally it's 2 inches or more. But if we didn't go out and plow on an inch snowfall, then that's just compacted material that stays there. And if we end up with a couple inch snowfalls, then that just gets more and more. So we're looking at actually going out and plowing sooner to keep the road surface clear and also being able to eliminate salt usage.
Okay, all right, well, thanks a lot.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see the swearing of the new chief too, that was kind of neat, so.
I wonder if it is a kind of a timing issue, because those storms were
Yep.
really bad, a lot of rain, a lot of water, so. This time Karen Hires, and we're going to talk about the zoning changes. Welcome, Karen.
Probably need to move that down. Mayor Furlong and council members, I would like to express my displeasure with the zoning changes included in the 2040 comprehensive plan that was approved by the City Council during the December 3rd meeting. These zoning changes were not communicated to neighboring residents or even the current property owners before both the Planning Commission and the City Council approved this plan. This is not the type of transparency that I expect from my city government. As has been evidenced by the standing room only attendance at the December 5th and January 2nd Planning Commission meetings, the residents of 6th and 7th Streets North in the block between South Avenue and Castle Avenues are concerned and quite frankly upset about the zoning changes to the properties at 2242 and 2264 to R2. I attended the December 5th planning meeting, intending to protest the zoning change to R2, and I was very dismayed to learn that the correct meeting had actually been the council meeting that approved the 2040 change to protest R2 changes. The planning commission meeting was only for variances on that R2 change. I asked why the residents were not contacted sometime during the 2-year planning that occurred for the 2040 plan. For the zoning variance, every resident within 350 feet was required to get a notification. We did. We came. Why did the developer who bought the property know about the change more than 9 months before it was approved by the city council? This foreknowledge allowed him to contact the estate of the deceased Dr. Tweeden and make a private sale before the property went up for public sale. Many of us knew friends who would have loved to have bought that property. When the developer was asked by the Planning Commission recently if the PUT could be changed to an R1 instead, he replied, "You directed me to build townhomes." How big of an appetite is there really for townhouse developments in North St. Paul? The council's being asked to give final approval to the anchor site tonight. This will make a total of 100 townhouses located less than 1 mile from 2242 7th Street. You're also being asked to approve another 18 townhouse development on 17th in Delaware. These locations better meet the parameters of R2 development. Previously cleared land on a major public street, close access to public transportation, and near businesses that are developed. The properties targeted for change on 7th Street are listed by the city as undeveloped. They exist as undeveloped land because the homeowners consciously chose to leave the forested land there. Trees and wildlife have been there in 100 years of growth. I find it short-sighted to completely bulldoze this land, raising hundreds of trees, displacing the wildlife. This is not redevelopment that preserves the character of my neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. That's all I have for the public. So at this time, city business and action items and recommendations, City Manager Dudek.
Mayor, the first item we have is the 2020 City Council meeting calendar for your consideration. What page is it on? 60?
60. Do you want to go over the whole calendar, or you want me to just to approve it?
I guess this is something that we talked about previously in our workshops, so we've gone over it with, from a council, if there's any items that you want to specifically talk about or any changes. Otherwise, this would be as presented, what we've talked about previously.
Any discussion? If not, motion to adopt the resolution adopting the 2020 City Council meeting schedule. So moved by Councilmember Sonic.
Second, Your Honor.
Second by Councilmember Peterson. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. City Manager Dudek.
Next item, Your Honor, is the our annual resolutions for 2020. And those are our investment committee, our depository bank for city funds and security, city attorney retainer, legal newspaper for publications, and acting mayor. So we have our recommendations from city staff. If, as Mayor, as you, if you have any adjustments or changes to what we've recommended, this is basically a continuation of what we've had in the past year.
Okay, motion for the annual resolution appointing investment committee for 2020. Is there a motion? So moved. So moved by Councilmember Sonic. Second by Councilmember Walzak. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. City Manager Dudek.
You took action now on the investment committee individually. We would want to do one motion because we've got 5 of them on this. So the investment committee is what you just handled there. We still have the depository bank, city attorney retainer, legal newspaper, and acting mayor. So if you want to do a resolution adopting for all of that.
Can I make a motion to adopt those remaining 4 resolutions? I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilmember Sonic,
I'll second.
second by Councilmember Thorson. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. City Manager Dudek.
Next item is our 2020 commission and committee appointments. And so we have several on here also. We've got our Design and Review Commission, Economic Development Authority, Park and Recreation Commission, Planning Commission, Police Civil Service Commission. What am I missing here? We also have our Cable Commission appointment under this proposal this evening. If you want to go through them individually, maybe the first one is our Design and Review Commission. So we have a previous member, Deb Fairbanks, who will not be returning in the upcoming year. And we have Patrick Blease, who has been on the commission, and we have a recommendation to move Patrick from the Design and Review Commission to Planning Commission. Joel Stallman would remain on the Design and Historical Review Commission. And those are the expiring terms for that currently. That's not the entire membership. Those are just the expiring members. Under the Economic Development Authority, Tom Schieske's term is expiring, and he has expressed interest to continue. Park and Recreation Commission, we have Nancy Thorson expressing interest to continue, Lloyd Grotchek to continue, Laura Green Karp to continue, and Heather Haas, all interested in continuing and looking for reappointment there. Planning Commission, John Wall would be stepping down at the end of his term on the Planning Commission. Rick Geldman would be looking to be reappointed. Elaine Barton also for reappointment, and Alan Worm for reappointment on the Planning Commission. Police Civil Service Commission, David McKenzie would be looking to stay on the commission and look for reappointment. Excuse me. Planning Commission, Patrick Blease and John Mungy.
Do you need water?
Losing my voice, yes.
I'm all out of water, sorry.
That's fine. Patrick Blease and John Mungy would be the 2 new commission members we're recommending for the Planning Commission. Also looking for appointment for Tara Heiser for appointment to the Cable Commission to represent the city. Those are the new appointments that would be proposed for this year.
Motion for resolution approving appointments to the commissions and committees for 2020.
So moved, Your Honor.
So moved by Councilmember Peterson,
Second.
second by Councilmember Sonic. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. City Manager Dudek.
Next item we have is Zero Burke, preliminary plan unit development, and I'll have our Aaron Purdue will present that.
Thank you, Scott. I will present this, so maybe you can get some water. I have a presentation, if we could get that up on the screen so that the audience can see as well. Thank you. What you're looking at today is a preliminary planned unit development approval for the property at 0 Burke and 2120 5th Street North. Shown on your screen there, the lot at 0 Burke is vacant. The lot at 21 25th has a 4-unit apartment building on it. The request is for a planned unit development that would cover both parcels. There would be some shared access and shared parking, and that's the reason for the planned unit development request. The zoning on the 0 Burke property is MU3 corridor mixed use, which does allow for apartments. 21 25th is already zoned for multifamily residential. So the proposal is to put a 6-unit apartment building on that vacant parcel and then have shared access between the two. This is the preliminary plan for the site. You can see the new building here in black. To the left is the existing 4-unit building and existing garage. And then parking through the recently vacated, or driveway and parking through the recently vacated southern half of the Burke Avenue right-of-way. That has already been approved by City Council. There's an existing wetland here to the east. During the public hearings at Planning Commission, we heard a lot of concern from neighbors of this property about stormwater runoff and also runoff into the wetland. The proposal has been reviewed by the Ramsey Washington Watershed District. They have told us that since the development site is less than an acre, they do not enforce any buffers from the wetland area. They are the local government unit for managing wetlands in North St. Paul, so they are the ones whose rules that we follow in that regard. Our engineers are still in the process of reviewing the stormwater plans for the site. They have said so far that things look good, and as we get more detail in the final PUD, there will be more review and more scrutiny to make sure that none of the neighboring properties are negatively impacted. That's one of our criteria for approval. The Planning Commission actually took 2 looks at this, tabled it in one meeting in November, brought it back in December. They had requested some information on where snow would be stored, and that will be provided at final PUD. We had a chance for our new fire chief to review the plans, and they have some minor concerns. There's not a vehicle turnaround required, but they do need to have a turning radius that will accommodate their vehicle, so that's going to be handled on the final PUD. There's some question about open space. There's enough open space provided on the plan. Per your ordinance, usable open space needs to be provided, and we haven't had detail yet on how the open space on the site is going to be used, so that will be handled at final PUD. And then the Planning Commission had requested some information on the split zoning of the property. The planned unit development will be overlaid on both of those, the MU3 and the R3 zoning districts. And so there's no need for rezoning those properties. They both allow for apartment uses, so the use is permitted. There are still, again, some engineering comments about impervious surface and runoff, and that will continue to be reviewed during the final PUD process. And a couple of additional questions or conditions for the retaining wall and for soil boring locations, so that will be handled at final PUD. This is the information we got, again, with some additional soil borings for the site. And so the recommendation is for approval of the preliminary planned unit development. Again, this will come back before the Planning Commission for another public hearing, and it will be back before you for final approval. There are some conditions mostly related to engineering that were noted in the staff report and in the resolution. And with that, I would be happy to take any questions that you have.
Any questions for Aaron?
Plans back up here.
Councilmember Sonic.
Just a quick procedural question. Why do we have to do a preliminary planned unit development? Why wouldn't we just do it when it's final? Why are we approving this now?
I was wondering that myself.
City attorney.
I was going to say, I can help with that too?
Start.
Sure, I'll start. Your ordinance requires, an applicant can request preliminary and final at the same time, sort of like a plat. But if they don't, and we're doing preliminary, approval of the preliminary PUD gives them extra time to go back and submit the final. Otherwise, we're under the 60-day clock. So I would say that's the biggest reason for doing preliminary and then coming back and doing final. I believe the timeframe is 6 months for the applicant to come back and submit the final. I have every indication from the applicant that they'll be coming back next month, but in case something happens.
Question I have is the watershed, so they don't, because it's under under an acre?
Yes.
So does WSP look at then the water situation?
Yes, so our engineers have been reviewing the site plan and the wetland. The reason that the watersheds comments are relevant is because there aren't any buffer distances that have to be complied with as far as buildings or parking near the wetland. And that is, again, because of the small size of the parcel that's being developed. But we are looking at runoff rates into the wetland and that sort of thing, so.
Because we know that it is a holding area for
Yes.
water. And to create more could be detrimental to those houses that are
Right.
behind there. So I think we really need to be conscious of that.
And Mayor, I'd just add to that, that along with the review that we'll do on this, not only reviewing that we're not creating more, but is there things that we can do to improve what's there today, even prior to the construction? You know, like some of the projects that we've talked about in the past where we've done, not that that would be the case here, but where we've done, underground storage tanks and things like that, where we've greatly improved upon the runoff and issues in the area, that not only do we review it to make sure it's compliant, but are there things that we can do to improve the existing conditions?
Any other questions for Aaron? If not, motion to approve, resolution approving a preliminary residential planned unit development for the property located at 2120 Fifth Street North in Zero Burke Avenue.
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember Thorson, second by Councilmember Sonic. Any other discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. City Manager.
Next item, Aaron, we'll continue with is the Gateway at McKnight Phase 2, final plat.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Mayor, members of council, what you're approving here for the Gateway project is the final plat for Phase 2 of the construction. I've got a presentation on this, if we can get that on the screen. You'll recall that the preliminary plat was approved last year. This is, again, Phase 2, which includes 46 townhome lots out of a total of 100 for the entire site. So the area outlined in blue is the Phase 2. Again, 46 lots on about 3.5 acres. This is a look at just the final plat. It's probably more useful to look at it in terms of what it looks like on the entire site. So the first edition is on the right. The second edition, which you're approving tonight, is on the left. With this new addition, Gateway Curve would be completed. So where these red arrows are, the street makes a continuous loop. There is one item still to be handled on the before the final recording of the final plat, and that is this Outlot C, which is a small area on the very southern portion of the second edition. During the final plat, one of the conditions was that be conveyed to the adjacent owner to the south, and that will be done prior to the final plat being recorded, and that was due to a surveying error many years ago being corrected now. Otherwise, all of the lots that are proposed in this final plat are per the preliminary plat approval, the streets as well. There were a few engineering comments left to be addressed on the final plat relating to gate valves, sanitary sewer connections, the retaining walls, and joint trench installation. And so the staff and the Planning Commission recommend conditional approval with those engineering comments being addressed on the final plat and conveyance of that Outlot C. And with that, I'd be happy to take your questions.
Any questions for Aaron? Not, motion to approve, resolution approving a final plat for the property commonly known as Gateway at McKnight Phase 2.
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember Sonic. Second by Councilmember Walzak. Any discussion? Not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries.
Mayor,
City Manager.
if we could, we could either go on to the next item and finish, otherwise as long as we have representatives here from M&I, it'd be great to hear an update.
Yep.
If you would.
It'd be awesome. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, John Rask with MI, and appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, and really want to thank staff, Scott, and the folks at WSB for really helping us through this process. I know they serve a regulatory function when it comes to regulating development, but they do so in a really professional way and are very knowledgeable people, because this wasn't an easy, might look easy, but this was a very complicated site and project, and to have people with their knowledge to help us get this thing up and going has been just a real big asset. So thank you for that. Sales were 8 sales into the project, so figuring we opened in October, not the exact prime selling season of the year, so we're very pleased with the amount of interest we have in the project, and continue to have great interest. Typically on the for sale side, we'll see sales in March, April, May. That is when the spring buying season starts, so we're really preparing ourselves for that. With all the wet weather and amount of work, we didn't get the project as far along as we did, so we're really looking forward this spring to getting all the landscaping in, some of the monumentation, and really bringing the project together. It's always hard for people at this time of year to kind of see the vision of it. So, but we'll get there. And again, we appreciate all the help from the city on getting us to this point. And it's a good sign that we're already in here asking for phase 2. That tells you, our confidence in this market and what's going on in the neighborhood. And you guys need to be commended for all the positive changes going on in this community, because it's exciting and it's exciting to be part of it. So. We thank you for the opportunity to build here in your community.
Oh, we appreciate it. We haven't had the red ribbon cutting yet.
No, we probably need to do that. We all got so busy trying to get open, and then the holidays, and so. But we do appreciate you coming out. I know many of you made it to our open house and got to see firsthand what we're building, and we're proud of it. People are excited about it. So, again, thank you.
Mayor, we're talking, John and I have been talking about trying to doing something as a joint effort for a springtime advertisement and really promotion of the whole area down there. So maybe we can coordinate something with that also.
Yeah,
Good.
love to be part of that. Thank you.
Yep. All right. City Manager.
Mayor, next item back is the 17th Avenue and Delaware PUD review. Aaron will present that again.
Thank you, Scott. If I could get the plan set up on the screen, I'll give you an update as to where we are with this item. The 17th and Delaware Avenue application for a subdivision and a townhome development was made back in September. And we are up against the 120-day deadline for action on this item, which is why it's been added to your agenda. The history of it was that it came before the Planning Commission in September. The Planning Commission requested some revisions, and so the applicant came back with a revised concept in November. That's the concept that you see on the screen right there. It's a total of 12 townhome units on this concept. It was originally a bit more than that. This is a concept only. There haven't been a full set of engineering plans, so the Planning Commission provided some consent for this and some general support for this direction, but they have not done a full review and made a recommendation to the City Council on it yet, because we haven't received a full set of plans. The city extended the 60-day time limit in November to January, and that's where we are now. So we have extended the timeline as far as we can. It was put in your packet as a recommendation to deny the original application. because otherwise the original application would automatically be approved. We have received just today, I believe, a request for extension from the applicant. And so you have the option to approve an extension if you so desire, and that would give the applicant a chance to go back to the Planning Commission with a full set of plans that is based on this concept. And Scott, I know you have some additional background.
City Manager.
Mayor and Council, the additional, so yes, we did receive the request for the extension from Paul Bruggeman from Bruggeman Builders. And so we would recommend we do that. I'd also want to bring to your attention that if you do approve the extension, the other thing that we need to address is there was previously a letter of intent with the builder that was signed back in January of 18. That letter of intent has since expired. It's actually expired a year ago in this January. So we would need to get that renegotiated or updated and then seek council approval for that. And I think that's an important piece to get done, not only for us as a city, but also as the developer so that they understand what that purchase agreement is. So we have that. So I provided that information in this paper packet that I provided you here at your desk so that you can just see the background of that. That letter of intent went to council on February 14th of 18 and was approved at that time. But again, like I said, that expired in January of 19. So we would need to get that renegotiated and updated in council approval along with this.
Again, we just got this afternoon. And I guess legal counsel, if we were to extend it, what would that look like?
Yeah, so under the law, the city, it's commonly referred to as the 60-day rule, meaning you can't sit on zoning applications. So you get an initial 60 days to review and or approve something. By law, you can extend that by another 60 days to 120. And after that point, you have to either approve or deny. And then if the applicant wants, they can extend you additional time. But it's not at the city option, so to speak. The applicant has to. So what the applicant has done here is submitted a document saying, we're interested in allowing the city to have more time to review it. It's understood, I believe anyway, that there's some shortcomings on the application or we don't have everything we need to process it. So they're giving the city another 90 days. That doesn't mean that the project will be approved, but they would apparently like more time to get us the information that's short on this. One of the things Scott and I had talked about, part and parcel of this development is the sale of the land or moving forward on that. And so I think what Scott and I would at least like an opportunity to do, which this additional 90 days does, is to step back and holistically look at the project in addition to just the development that's being proposed, but then the land sale, and just make sure we're all on the same page before we throw a bunch of time and effort at the actual development. So the extra time made sense to us to sort through that and talk to the applicant and come back to the council. Right now, it doesn't feel fully vetted, if you will, to come to you and make a recommendation. So the extra time, at least at a staff level, makes sense.
Any other questions, concerns? So I believe,
We would recommend approval of and granting of the 90-day extension.
so motion to approve a 90-day extension for the, what am I extending?
17th Avenue and Delaware Avenue PUD review.
Okay, so the, extending the review of property located at 2329 17th Avenue East. PID number 012922330125.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilmember Sonic,
I'll second.
second by Councilmember Thorson. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. City Manager Dudek.
Mayor, if I could, I don't know if you're okay with this order, that's the last action.
Oh,
I'm sorry, we do not. We
got one more.
We do have to bring back item C. Item E. The pay equity report.
I put it under item C because it's,
You were at the end of the page.
I was at the end of the page,
okay.
and it was B.
Okay,
So we'll add it to EFG. Pay equity report, we'll pull that, and I guess,
So that's for my
ahead.
question,
Okay.
yeah, so, and I don't know if you, if we're just bringing this in, it has to be sent on for further analysis by, who? For the state of Minnesota for review? But have you been able to make anything of the analysis that you see so far? So I'm looking at the T-test results, I'm looking at the underpayment ratio.
what page are you looking at?
I am on page 56, I think. It's odd that it's that far down. But if you, it's bookmarked, the pay equity report. So there's a statistical analysis test that was done here. And it said for male classes, the percent below predicted pay is 63.16. And for female classes, the percent below predicted pay is 41.67. So it's suggests to me that we have a significant percentage of both male and female classes that are below the predicted pay, and I guess that would still be consistent with what our wage research was done from a year ago, right? And so we're probably catching up to that.
correct.
But then the T-test results down below, it says the average difference in pay from predicted pay for male jobs is, I think this, they're saying negative $1, and the average difference in pay from predicted pay for female jobs is negative $40. Do you understand what that's saying here? Or is this, do we need to?
I do not. I don't have a lot of information to give you on this. This was a report that Deborah worked with,
Okay.
and she's out, obviously, at this point. But I do know this is directly tied back into our pay study that we did last year. And previously, we were on the verge of non-compliancy, or we were non-compliant.
Right.
And by adopting our pay study that the council has adopted and what we're moving to, it brings us back into compliance with our pay equity report.
Right. I'm trying to just understand, is there a difference in the male and female pay differences that we're seeing here? And it seems to be that there's a higher percentage of males who are below the predicted pay level, but on average, their difference is much smaller. So we have a lower percentage of females on staff who are paid below the predicted level, but it's much more significant difference between those two. I'm just trying to.
Yep.
And I guess it's.
And I can certainly get some details and get you the information back on it.
But what we're also saying, so this is based on the time period, I can't remember when they took the data, but this is, will this be by and large corrected in
Yes.
our new pay structure?
Yes, under our new pay structure, this will be corrected.
Okay. Okay, thanks. I know I'm kind of getting into the weeds
Yep,
here,
no,
but I think
it's fine.
it's interesting to
Do
see
you
the
want to
data.
table this to the next meeting until you get that information?
No, I think, it is what it is, and I think, I think that's, it's not on the consent agenda just to approve us to be able to send it to the state for review, so.
Correct.
That has to happen, so I don't think it needs to be tabled, it's just.
That's right.
I just had some questions about some of the content that's in there, so.
And we can get some follow-up to that.
Okay, thanks.
Motion to accept the 2020 pay equity report for the city of North St. Paul and authorize submittal to the state of Minnesota for review.
So moved, Your Honor.
Moved by Councilmember Peterson. Second by Councilmember Sonic. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries.
Mayor, if I could, unless you want to do it under reports, wherever you'd like to do it, I'd like to bring up our two new planning commission members one at a time and have them give a little background on themselves.
I'd love to hear from them.
Maybe we can start with Patrick, please. Please.
Now I know why you were at the meeting last Thursday.
Oh, I had to see how things happen.
Patrick, welcome.
Thank you. I must admit, I probably have not participated or, sat in the audience for as many meetings as I probably should have over the years. I was realizing that I've lived in North St. Paul for about 44 years of my life, with a little gap in there. I had to get away for a while. But, and I was raised on Lake Boulevard at my current address, and my boys were raised at my current address. So I got a lot of history of being here, and I guess when I have thought about participating in local government, I've always thought it was a good idea from the perspective of I am very interested in what is best for the community as a whole. It's not always about this one person or that one person and what they need, though they're important, but what's really good for the community. And I'm really hoping that that's what I have an opportunity to contribute when issues come up, the challenging ones, which I know you've all experienced. You have to hammer through it. You have to figure it out from the perspective of what's good for the community. And so that's my goal. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
For your services.
We're going to miss the heck out of you in design and review because you're just a talent.
I'll come visit.
And and if I can just follow up on that, what we thought, so Design Historical Review, because we're short members with that group, but we really don't have projects like the Planning Commission reviews, with the Uptown Apartments been reviewed already, and that's really the only project that's slated right now in the foreseeable future that we have right now coming. But the intent would be that Patrick would act as the liaison from the Planning Commission to fall back to the Design Historical Review to keep that continuity between the Design Review and Planning Commission.
So we'll talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how long I've been part of that commission. I can't remember. I know that I was appointed by Bill Sandberg, so 10, 12 years at least. Well, when did he die? 2008, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you look the same.
Pardon?
After all these years. You look the same.
Oh, well, just a little grayer.
And then we welcome John Mungy.
John, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor, Council. I moved over to North St. Paul 23 and a half years ago from St. Paul. My wife, Chris Monge, is a lifelong resident of North St. Paul. So I've always been interested in the community, just the small town, downtown streets, and just the way North St. Paul's been set up. I've been excited about what's happening with the development. We moved here shortly after we moved here. Anchor Block closed, and that was empty, abandoned for years, and torn down and vacant lot. So there was just a lot of potential I've seen with North St. Paul that was just sitting there. And I think for a tax base and for any city, you got to have good business. You got to have good, housing plus, senior housing and some senior, like one-level townhouses. So I've noticed in North St. Paul, when you move here, nobody ever wants to move out. They just want to stay. So part of it for a while with just not having one level, people had to leave and go to Oakdale and some other communities where they really wanted to stay in this area. So I'd been really excited over the last couple of years watching what's been happening in North St. Paul, and I was more than happy to join.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sonic.
As a liaison to the, from the council to the Planning Commission, I just want to welcome both John and Patrick to one of the most glamorous jobs you'll ever have. It's filled with constant praise and gratitude from the residents of North St. Paul, so it's just really enjoyable in that way. So welcome aboard, suckers.
At least we're gray.
Well, that's encouragement. All right. City Manager Dudek.
Just some quick updates report-wise. The BP station, former station purchase is progressing. It's in the stage of the title company, so we're just waiting for a call to finalize that acquisition and then follow that up with the cleanup of the site quickly to follow that. Also, we're currently reviewing purchase agreements, and when I say not for us for selling property, and this would be for the development of the Anchor North site that we're developing. So we have 2 purchase agreements in now that we're reviewing. That would be one for the proposed, upcoming proposal of the apartment building, and then also for the storage facility. So we're in the process of reviewing that. On Thursday of this week, we will be opening bids for the street project for the work down there on McKnight and through the area. So those bids will open this Thursday. So we continue with the development, and things are looking very well.
All you have?
I could go on, but go ahead.
We'll stop there. Reports of council, commissions, and committees. Councilmember Sonic.
Just one little thing, preview from the Planning Commission. Just this past Thursday when we met, we talked about potential goals for 2020. And typically for the Planning Commission, it doesn't really set out to have a whole lot of goals. It just takes work that comes into it. But this year we talked about several goals that we could have, particularly in light of some of the reviews that we did through this very busy year in 2019. You know, we had a lot of additional Planning Commission meetings. But we put together some goals, and we'll have this more formally to present, well, not really formally, but just to kind of talk about some of these specific goals that we'll have for 2020. I'll present that at a future council meeting. I don't know if Aaron was going to put some of that stuff together for us, but one of the things, just several zoning ordinances where some of the language just didn't seem to jive just quite right with some of the realities that we were facing. So some different things that we want to look at there. So we're going to be taking on a number of different ordinances just to see if we can't clean up some of that language throughout the next year.
Good.
So just so you know that that's coming and that we'll be focusing on that in 2020.
Thank you. Councilmember Walzak.
I have nothing, Your Honor.
Councilmember Peterson.
Just a couple of things, Your Honor. The Fire and Ice event was very good Friday night. We didn't have the hundreds like we usually do. It was manageable, and I have to give a shout out to our great fire department. They're good about, putting out fires, but they can build fires too for us some more. So they did a great job. Everyone was having a great time. The weather cooperated. The ice was okay because it was a cloudy day, and they're thinking about maybe doing another one at another park just because of the excitement, and people were just interested in it. It was a neighborhood gathering. It was just kind of a neat thing. And Ramsey County League of Local Government, our first annual meeting will be this Friday. We are doing Friday morning meetings now. We're not doing night meetings. And that will be at the CTV, which I think is the Cable Commission, or out at 2630 Arthur Street in Roseville. And they're going to talk about legislative priorities. We haven't got the legislative people coming yet. I think that'll be in February, and I'll get more information on that on Friday. That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
I must have missed you down there because I did have the ice skates on, and it was good. Yep.
Okay, I was there earlier.
Yep. Councilmember Thorson.
I have nothing.
City Manager Dudek.
I couldn't resist. No, I have a couple things. That's update on the old City Hall site, the Uptown Apartments. We're still working with that, and would hope to bring the final agreement for the development to start probably at the next council meeting or latest first meeting in February, as we're planning on starting sometime in February is a projection for that. Also related, Business Association meeting coming up in February, at the February 11th meeting. We're going to work to really promote North St. Paul and the developments and things that are going on. We're gonna do a mailing out to all the businesses, not just the businesses that are members, but all the businesses in North St. Paul, and really try to use it for a recruitment tool and get businesses involved. But the plan is I want to go there and really have a presentation about the developments that are going on in North St. Paul, not only in the downtown, but throughout North St. Paul. So city staff will be there. We'll have WSB there, the developer for the apartment downtown, probably M&I, car show people, to really talk about North St. Paul and the upcoming year of what's coming forward. So that'll be at the February 11th lunch meeting, so encourage everybody to get out and come to that one. And then just a quick update on the house move from the old City Hall site. We moved that Sunday morning after Christmas, I think it was. 7 o'clock in the morning, we took off westbound 7th Avenue with a house. So it went very well. House is in place. It was raised on the site, and the foundation has now been poured. And so the students will start working on getting prepared to lower it down on this foundation. Tomorrow, you'll probably see work going on up there with sewer and water connection and things like that being brought into the house, so that work continues, or will actually get started. Students in the past have been working on the restrooms down at the Rotary Park that the Rotary Club is sponsoring and making donations to make that possible, and the students have been using that for kind of a fill-in between this house move and that, so that's worked out really well. People have seen that covered up for quite some time with tenting around it, and the students were doing something they've never done before. We had them installing stone on the lower level of that building to match the building at Casey Lake Park instead of just doing a siding down and having a plain-looking building. So it really added some depth to the building and really makes it stand out, and it gave the students an opportunity to do something that they've never done before.
Is this one of the longest built bathrooms?
Well, it's been a good project because prior to them coming involved, there were some of the contractors of previous, there was some errors. So it was a good learning experience for the students to know what not to do, and when there are problems, how to correct that. So it's been a good learning experience all the way around, and we thank the project for getting it done.
Good. Thank you. General Business, Councilmember Sonic.
I have nothing, thanks.
General Business, Councilmember Walzak.
I have nothing, Your Honor.
General Business, Councilmember Peterson.
Yeah, we've got a new business in town, which I wasn't aware of, by a North High grad. Take the Field. It's right behind here. It's an old burr wall where the dome is, like, right covered thing.
What's the name of it?
It's Take the Field. It's a ball you can go in there and hit balls, baseballs.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. My son went in there. We graduated with this one guy, and it's kind of a virtual type thing, a baseball. I'm not quite sure how it all goes down. There's going to be camps there and some training going on, but it's right behind us. They have regular hours, so check it out. It's again, Take the Field. And I read the paper. I'm the only one that probably gets a subscription to the Pioneer Press. I was very disheartened when I saw that Highway 36 and Manning is going through before they're looking at 120 and 36. So I did talk to City Manager Scott, and we got to get our legislatures, Lily and Wiegert on this, because I don't want to have a missed, be missed on this. Because I didn't think that Manning thing was going to happen. I was really discouraged after we had that great, discussion.
It was on the radar, and then it was off the radar.
Right.
Now it's back on the
Yeah.
radar, because I think development is happening over there.
Right. Yeah, so I'm hoping that, I'm sure Scott's got something.
And I have had a little conversation with it since it's happened, and actually the feedback that I've gotten from legislative side, this is actually a good thing.
Could happen quicker.
Because it helps, it then leaves our intersection was one of the last ones uncorrected. So this actually could help, is what I'm being told. But we have a meeting on Thursday with Ramsey County Engineer, and we're working on language for that for the bonding bill. So we're continuing to work with that, and we'll have something moving forward with that soon.
Councilmember Thorson.
I have nothing. I'll defer to Scott if he's got anything.
I'm good.
Okay.
And I think all I have is a potential meeting, February 4th meeting, potentially could be at the North St. Paul High School. Right now it is on. We haven't heard that it's not. So 2:30 in the afternoon, February 4th at North St. Paul High School. It's going to be kind of a new thing for us being off-site, but it's going to be a learning experience for these kids to experience some sort of city government and try to get the youth involved in city government. So that's all I have. If not, motion to adjourn.
So moved, Your Honor.
So moved by Councilmember Walzak. Second by Councilmember Sonic. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion adjourned. Meeting adjourned.